أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم. إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين. واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بذر لا تغن عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامذون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون إنهم إليهم لا يرجعون صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
بار دیگر صلوات اللهم صل ala. Now I would request Brother Raza to come and recite Salam. Salawat bar Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bar Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad salawat. एक और सलवात भेज दें मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद. ज़ैनब का चेहरा देखते हैं और मौला रोते जाते हैं. زینب کا چہرہ دیکھتے ہیں اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں، عباس کے آنسو پوچھتے ہیں، عباس کے آنسو پوچھتے ہیں، شبیر کو کچھ سمجھاتے ہیں، ہے اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں، زینب کا چہرہ دیکھتے ہیں اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں، اور پھرتا ہے نگاہوں میں منظر بازاروں کا، درباروں کا، پھرتا ہے نگاہوں میں اکثر بازاروں کا، درباروں کا، کچھ دیر کو گھر کے آنگن میں زینب کو ساتھ چلاتے ہیں، ہے اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں، زینب کا چہرہ دیکھتے ہیں اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں۔ ایک روز اسی کوفے میں تمہیں بے پردہ حرم کو لانا ہے، ایک روز اسی کوفے میں تمہیں بے پردہ حرم کو لانا ہے، عابد کو لگا کر سینے سے، عابد کو لگا کر سینے سے بازار کا حال سناتے ہیں، ہے اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں، زینب کا چہرہ دیکھتے ہیں، ہے اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں، اور بھائی کے ساتھ میری زینب جائے گی جہاں جانے دینا، بھائی کے ساتھ میری زینب جائے گی جہاں جانے دینا، یہ تم کو وصیت ہے میری عبداللہ سے فرماتے ہیں، ہے اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں، زینب کا چہرہ دیکھتے ہیں، ہے اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں، اور معلوم تھا ایک دن شانوں میں زینب کے رسن بندھ جائے گی، معلوم تھا ایک دن شانوں میں زینب کے رسن بندھ جائے گی، شبر سے کہہ کے قاتل کے ہاتھوں سے رسن کھلواتے ہیں، ہے اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں، اور مقطع آپ کی سماعتوں کی نظر، اور پوچھا ہے تکلم زینب نے حیدر سے یہ آخری سانسوں میں، پوچھا ہے تکلم زینب نے حیدر سے یہ آخری سانسوں میں، کیوں بازو دیکھے جاتے ہیں، کیوں بازو دیکھے جاتے ہیں، کیوں سر کو چومے جاتے ہیں ہے اور مولا روتے جاتے ہیں. پر محمد و آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم.
Now I will request Brother Najam Naqvi to come and recite Mercy. Salawat bar Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
بر محمد و آل محمد بلندتر صلوات. کس طرح طے منزل صبر و رضا زینب نے کی کس طرح طے منزل صبر و رضا زینب نے کی امت جد کے لیے حق سے دعا زینب نے کی کربلا کے واقعے میں رنگ دونوں نے بھرا ابتدا شبیر نے کی انتہا زینب نے کی ابتدا شبیر نے کی انتہا زینب نے کی کس طرح طے منزل. درود پڑھے محمد و آل محمد. چند اشعار سلام کے. یہ سوچتا ہوں کہ عابد کا حال کیا ہوگا. یہ سوچتا ہوں کہ عابد کا حال کیا ہوگا. اسیر ہو کہ وہ جب شام میں گیا ہوگا. سنا ہے شام میں جاتے ہی خون رونے لگا. نہ جانے شمر نے اس وقت کیا کہا ہوگا. یہ سوچتا ہوں گلے کے طاق نے عابد کو کیا جھکانا تھا. وہ اپنے کھوئے ہوئے لال ڈھونڈتا ہوگا. وہ ظلم دیکھے ہیں سجاد نے حسین کے بعد. मुझे यकीन है कि अब तक भी रो रहा होगा। मैं सोचता हूँ कि आबिद का हाल क्या होगा। असीर हो के वो जब शाम में गया होगा। मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु।
MashaAllah, Bhai. Now I will request Maulana Jariyad Azadi to come and deliver the speech. But loud salawat for Maulana Jariyad Azadi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa
رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين أمرا وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الغر والميامين ولعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال أمير المؤمنين عليه الصلاة والسلام: خالطوا الناس مخالطة إن متم معها بكوا عليكم وإن عشتم حنوا إليكم. صدق مولانا أمير المؤمنين أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب عليه الصلاة والسلام. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We ask Allah Almighty by raising our hands and by giving the wasila of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam بحق فاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها يا Allah. Ya Allah, we have come here with so many hajats and so many supplications that we have in our mind. Some of the supplications have to do with this world and some of the supplications have to do with the hereafter. Ya Allah, we ask you to fulfill all of them. Ya Allah, we ask you to hasten the dhuhur of Imam Sahibul Zaman. Ya Allah, we ask you to make us among his supporters, among the people that will lay their lives for the cause of Imam Sahibul Zaman. And Ya Allah, we had our marhumin that used to be part of these majalises, that used to be part of these gatherings and ceremonies. Unfortunately, they are not with us anymore. Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive all of them. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. One of a really common concept and the common ideas that we have in our mind, and generally when you go in a meeting or when you go and have conversation with the counselor or with someone that want to be your mentor, there's always a common line that comes in whenever we are having the discussion that has to do with the goal of our life, that has to do with our approach towards the life. And that common methodology is what you would always come to hear about this thing, that you should be a really productive and effective person when it comes to live through your life. That's a really common thing that you would hear. And even when you come across the people in your daily life, they would be like, you have to be really effective person. You have to be really productive person. And this theme is always repeated to us every now and then. You would want to have conversation in your school, this thing would come up. You want to have conversation with your relatives, this thing will come up. You want to have conversation with some of your friends, this thing would come up. And obviously, if I've been working in an industry, and if I can do 10 things together versus a person that would be able to do only 5 things together, who is more productive and effective? Of course, someone who can do 10 things together, right? So when the time of layoff would come in, when there would be a time of recession, when there'll be a time in which people would be facing the economic hardship, right? And people have to be removed from the job, right? Who would be the first person to be removed? Someone who is less effective, someone who is less productive would be the first person to be removed from his job post, right? Because they know there is someone productive that can handle whatever the duties is left over. This person can handle and can carry over from there. This basically connects me to the topic that I'm going to speak tonight. And I want to go through this topic, that how would you be able to design your personality as effective, by looking into the life of Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Firstly, I want to give a really basic introduction of what effectiveness means. Does Islam promote effectiveness, productivity? What is the consequence, or what is the concept of Islam when it comes to this basic thing? The second thing that I want to look forward is to look into the lives of the pious people, and especially the life of Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha, and how can we take some lessons and some values in our life that can really make us the personality that we are supposed to be. First thing that we always need to keep in our mind is that Islam has always promoted us to have an effective personality. You know, when Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, was talking about the companions of Imam Sahibul Zaman, how does he mention and how does he describe the companions of Imam? رجال كأن قلوبهم زبر الحديد لا يشوبها شك في ذات الله أشد من الحجر لو حملوهم على جبل لأزالوها. What does it talk about the companions of Imam? That the companions of Imam, their heart would be made of iron. They would have such a strong personality that their hearts would be like that of an iron. They would never have an iota of doubt. They would never have the minutest doubt about Allah Almighty. And they would be firm. They would have firmer personality than that of the stone. And if you want them to fight against the mountains, the mountain can go and can scratch over from its place, but these people would always be there. They would not even move the slightest from the position that they have in their lives. This is the way Imam wants to see us. Allah has given us so many qudra. Allah has given us so many qualities and so many things that we have. We all should use those qualities in which things? In things that pleases Him. That's why in Al-Kafi, when you go to the chapter of thanking Allah Almighty, the Babu Shukr, when you go through the hadith is from Imam Sadiq. Imam Sadiq mentioned this hadith. And it says that تمام الشكر اجتناب المحارم. That if you want to thank Allah Almighty in its inclusivity, in its complete form, what is the best way to thank Allah Almighty? Is to use whatever powers, is to use whatever Allah has given us to refrain yourself from doing haram things. And then Imam says, وَقَوْلُ الرَّجُلِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ is another form of saying shukr to Allah Almighty. So when we see how Amir al-Mu'mineen and how Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam wants us to be, one of the hadiths that I mentioned in the start of my lecture that really connects us to the topic, it says, خَالِطٌ nas مُخَالَطَةً. That you want to intermingle with the people, you want to connect with the people in a way. In muttu ma'aha bakaw alaykum. That if you die from their midst, they would cry over you. وَإِنْ عِشْتُمْ. And if you live among them, حَنُّوا إِلَيْكُمْ. They will look forward towards meeting you. How many of us are like this? How many of us are like this when we go to the gathering, the people would start thinking, yes, I want to be with this person. If you reflect upon some of the people that would be coming in your mind and that would come into my mind too, there are a lot of people that when you think about them, you'll be like, as soon as he comes in, as soon as she comes in, I'd rather want to just say salam and go away. Why is it so? Does Amir al-Mu'mineen want you to be like this? No. What is the message of Ahlul Bayt? You, the youngsters that are sitting here. That's a lesson. You know, I have lived a portion of my life. But you, mashallah, some of you are 10, 11, 12, 15, 20, 25. This is the hadith that you always need to have in your mind. And this hadith is so beautiful and fantastic, right? When you reflect upon it, the hadith is from Al-Kafi again. I really want to quote early sources, right? Early sources are really wonderful and they are really enticing. We have this habit of quoting really not even secondary sources. We go really later sources, some of the contemporary sources. Yes, it's good. It's wonderful, mashallah. But everything that we have are from the early scholars, from the early sources. The hadith is from Al-Kafi. The hadith says one of the companion of Imam, he was coming from Qom. Around that time, Iran was not a Shia country. I think I have talked about this topic in a lot of other majalis. I don't want to repeat this. Iran was a Shia country 300, 400 years back. Before that, it was a hotspot for Sunni scholarship. So there were only pockets of areas within Iran that used to be Shias only. And one of the area was what? Qom. Even the Mashhad, the ziyarah that we go for Imam, the Tus was ever, like it was, like when you go and you search upon the biographies of some of the Sunni scholars, you would say that so many scholars of the Sunnism were from Mashhad and from Tus. From Nishapur, Hakim Nishapuri, Abu Zur'a al-Tusi, Muhammad bin Aslam al-Tusi, Muslim bin Hajjaj al-Nishapuri, right? We say Nishapur, Nisaburi, right? Whatever way you want to say. Abu Isa al-Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood al-Sajistani. So Sajistan is what? Sistan. So Sistani is from Sistan, right? So Abu Dawood, Sistani, I would say. Sajistani, right? All of these Sunni scholars, right? They were from where? From Iran. Fakhruddin al-Razi, Abu Hatim al-Razi, Abu Zur'a al-Razi. Razi was the people that were from the area of Tehran. They used to be called what? Razi. So you see, like, Iran has always been a hotbed for Sunni scholarship. But there were some areas within Iran in the old time. By the way, our major scholarship have come from Iraq. Most of the companions and most of the scholars were from Iraq, especially from Kufa, right? And some of them from like other areas in Medina and Mecca. We had really few scholars when you go really early that were from Iran, right? But the Sunni scholarship were mostly from Iran. So at that time, Qom was an area that a lot of the Shias migrated from Kufa to Qom. You know, the time of Ziyad bin Abi, the time of Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, the time of Khalid al-Qasri, the time of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. You go through the history and you see the way they have ruled Kufa. They have ruled Iraq. They always had hatred towards Iraq. Why? Because Iraq was the hotbed for Shiism. When I say Iraq, it doesn't mean Basra. Basra was a little bit towards the Sunni side. Kufa was mostly Shia. So a lot of Shias that were living in Kufa, they migrated to where? To Qom. So that they can absolve themselves and they can basically go away from the persecution that was happening. And they started living in Qom, and a lot of those people that migrated were from one of the tribe that was called what? Banu Ash'ira. Not the Ash'ira, the Sunni scholarship, Banu Ash'ira. Ash'ari was one of the tribes. So Muhammad bin Isa al-Ash'ari and some of the really notable scholars that you had were from Banu Ash'ira. So one of the companion of Imam came in to meet Imam Sadiq. I really want all of you to concentrate. So this was basic background of what Qom and Kufa represented at that time. So there was a scholar, his name was Isa bin Abdullah. He came in to meet Imam Sadiq. As soon as he came to meet Imam, the riwayah says, فَرَحَّبَ بِهِ وَقَرَّبَ مِن مَجْلِسِهِ. That Imam welcomed the companion that was coming in and said, come, sit close to me. So obviously he was someone who was really close to Imam. And then Imam said these lines, Ya Isa ibn Abdullah, لَيْسَ مِنَّا وَلَا كَرَامَةً that person is not within my Shias, and that person doesn't carry any value. مَنْ كَانَ فِي مِصْرٍ فِيهِ مِئَةُ أَلْفٍ وَيَزِيدُونَ, who resides in a city where there are like 100,000 or more than 100,000 inhabitants living in. وَكَانَ فِي ذَلِكَ الْمِصْرِ أَحَدٌ أَوْرَعَ مِنْهُ. And within that city, if there is anyone who is more virtuous than him, out of 100,000 people, if there is anyone who is more virtuous than the person who calls him Shia, then he's not among us. What is the minimum limit? Imam said 100,000 people. You're living in London. I don't know what is the population here. I'm coming from Mississauga, right? Around 2 million people at least, right? Toronto is even bigger. Imam wants me and Imam wants his Shias to be best. Not only in the field of fiqh, not even in the field of tafsir, not even in the field of Quran only, right? Imam wants any subject that you have. If there should be any specialist in it, it should be the Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. So now, one of the things that we really need to consider and then we really need to rethink about ourselves and reflect upon ourselves is that where we are standing when it comes to these ahadiths. That's why when Prophet Isa alayhi salatu wassalam was being introduced, Maryam salamullah alayha had Prophet Isa in a cradle. And people of Banu Israel, the Israelites, right? They were questioning Sayyida Maryam. That how can you have this baby when you even have not married anyone? Then instead of she answering anything, فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ, she pointed out towards Isa ibn Maryam. The people that were standing there, they said, قَالُوا كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الْمَهْدِ صَبِيًّا. How can we have a conversation with a baby who is in a cradle? Then Prophet Isa started speaking. Inni Abdullah atani al-kitab wa ja'alani nabiyya. That I am the servant of Allah and Allah has given me a gospel. Allah has given me a book and Allah has made me a prophet. وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. That's the conversation. That's the point that I want to focus on. And Allah has made me Mubarak. Allah has made me a productive person. Allah has made me an effective person. And Allah has instructed me to offer my prayers and zakat till the time I'm alive. And then it continues, وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْنِي جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ وَيَوْمَ أَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ أَبْعَثُ حَيًّا ذَلِكَ عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ قَوْلَ الْحَقِّ الَّذِي فِيهِ يَمْتَرُونَ. The ayats go, right? What does it say? Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, when he wanted to introduce himself, the first introduction included that he was servant of Allah. The second introduction said that he was someone that was instructed by Allah by certain commandments. The third says that he was given a book. The fourth introduction said that he was someone who was made productive by Allah Almighty. When you go to the hadith of Aimma alayhimus salam, it says Mubarakan means nafa'an, someone who can benefit a lot of people. And when we are talking about the life of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, I really want to go to a hadith that one of our classical scholars have quoted. Safwan is one of the companions of Imam Sadiq. There was one other scholar, Halabi, I think so. One of the companions came to Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam. He said that, Mawla, if something happens to you, who would be the Imam after you? I want all of you to concentrate here. If something happens to you, who would be the Imam after you? Why was this question so important? When was Imam Jawad born? 195 Hijrah. And when did Imam Rada died? 203 Hijrah. So what was the age of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam when Imam Rada was martyred? 8 years? So this companion is coming in and he knows that Imam is going to be martyred soon. He says, Mawla, who would be the Imam after you if something happens to you? So Imam pointed towards Imam Jawad and said, he would be the Imam after me. Then the person started questioning, Mawla, he would be Imam after you? He's a small kid. How can you claim imamat for him when he's so small, when he's only 3 years old? Imam said, if Isa ibn Maryam can be given nabuwa and the prophethood at the age of 3 years, when he was in his cradle, why cannot Imam Jawad be an Imam when he's 3 years old? So see, when someone is asking about the proof of the imamat of Imam Hadi, of Imam Jawad, because these were the two Imams, they were really small when they became Imam. So your answer would always be that the way Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was productive even when he was so small in his cradle in Jula, right? The same way Imam Jawad and Imam Hadi were the guides of the whole humankind because they were given imamat at this age. Age never defines the knowledge of the Prophet and the Imam. Right? So we should always have this thing in our mind. One last hadith that I want to go through. Then I would connect myself with the topic of Sayyida Zaynab Salaamullah alayha. I really wanted this introduction to have in our mind because our youth, they would be thinking that why should we have the personality that Maulana is saying? So we need to have proofs for those, right? The hadith is really beautiful. It says that Sayyida Zahra Salaamullah alayha, she came to meet Prophet and she had both Hassan and Hussein alayhim salam with him. And she said, Hadani abnak, that, oh Prophet, oh my father, oh my Baba, these both are your son. فَأَنِحِلْهُمَا, give them any gifts. What would be our gifts? iPhone 14 Pro Max? I don't know much about the products, right? I got a gift for someone and I felt that was really, really expensive, right? All these gifts that we would have in our mind, right? Sayyida is asking for gifts for whom? For Hasnain. Not common people, Hasnain. And who's asking? Sayyida Zahra Salaamullah alayha. And who's she asking? Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So Prophet replied, as for Hussein, I would give him my courage and the generosity that I have. And for Imam Hassan, I would give my grandeur and leadership qualities that I have. Those are specifically for Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wassalam. That's why the riwayah says that when Hassan and Hussein would go for Hajj, people question why you go for when you are walking to Karbala. Why do you walk to Karbala? You can easily take a transport and go from Najaf to Karbala. We go from Najaf to Karbala. There are some people that are going further south. People are coming from Hilla. People are coming from Basra. People are coming from Wasa. Different cities are coming from south of Iraq. Some people are coming from Iran. They're walking. And people question us, why do you walk? What's the purpose of walking? What's the purpose of this mashi? We say Allah loves certain actions even though you would have money. Even though you would have mode of transportation. But we want to show respect to the person that we're visiting. So the way that you would give respect is to walk while you're going to meet them. That's why Imam Hassan, the riwayah says that Imam Hassan, he went for Hajj 25 times, not using a mode of transportation, but he would walk all the way from Medina to Mecca. So the riwayah says that both these Hassan and both Hasnain alayhim salam, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, they used to walk from Medina to Mecca. And obviously from Medina, when you go to Masjid al-Shajara, you have to put ihram, and then you would walk towards the Umrah Tamattu. So when they would walk, because of the grandeur, because of the respect, because of the thing that Prophet gave them, they had so much respect, they had so much effectiveness that when people would go onto their transportation, when they will be going onto their horses, when they will be going onto the camels, and they will see Hassan and Hussein walking, out of their respect, they will leave their horses and camels and they will start walking too. And then Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas came in. Same Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, who didn't give his pledge of allegiance to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He came to Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein. He said, Mawla, there are so many people coming in, and always when they see you both, out of respect, they would go off from their mode of transportation and will walk because of the respect that they have. Can you take a different way so that you go from a different way and the people that are coming, they would not have the zahma. So just because people would not have the zahma and they would have to go away from their mode of transportation, Imam Hassan and Hussein would take an alternative route. Sayyid Ja'far Murtada Amli, in his beautiful biography, has mentioned these incidents. Go through the sources, inshallah. There are furthermore sources that we can quote. How is Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha connected to whatever I'm speaking? Her personality was effective since day one, since she was a child. What was her age when Prophet left this world? 5 years or 6 years maximum? Imam Hassan was born in 3rd Hijrah. Sayyid al-Shuhda was born in 4th Hijrah. And probably after 1 year or 2 years, Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha, she came into this world. So imagine her age when Prophet left this world was what? 5 years or 6 years? Even at that age, she was able to disseminate knowledge to the people. Let me give you an example. Sheikh Suduq, he has quoted in his book, Ilal al-Shara'i', not from 1 chain, not from 2 chains, from 3 chains. One of the chains comes from Hafs al-Ahmar. He quotes from Zayd al-Shahid, and Zayd al-Shahid quotes it from Sayyida Zaynab. There is another chain from Ahmad bin Muhammad bin Jabir, and he is quoting from Sayyida Zaynab, 2nd chain. The 3rd chain, Abdullah bin Ahmad al-Alawi, he quotes it from the people of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, and they are quoting from whom? Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha. And Sayyida Zaynab is one that is mentioning the Fadak sermon, the sermon of Fadak. And sermon of Fadak, how does it start? You know, when I was giving one of the lecture here on the Shahada of the Prophet, I mentioned some of the words of the sermon of Fadak. Really difficult sermon to absorb, right? Really difficult sermon to understand. For a layperson like me, we need to have dictionaries. We need to have Qamus with us so that we can go through some of the words the Sayyida Fatima salamullah alayha was saying. But see how Sayyida Zaynab, even at the smallest age, was able to memorize and learn whatever she heard from her mother, and see the minutest detail that she was mentioning. And how the khutbah started. The khutbah started that Sayyida Zaynab said, "Lamma ajma'a Abu Bakr ala man'i Fatimata fadak." When the first person, when he decided not to give the property of Fadak, the land of Fadak, to Sayyida Zahra salamullah alayha, فَبَلَغَهَا بِذَلِكَ, she came to know about what's happening. فَلَاثَتْ خِمَارِهَا عَلَى رَأْسِهَا, she put the chadar, she put the burqa on her head. وَإِشْتَمَلَتْ بِجِلْبَابِهَا, see the minutest of detail. I could say Nawab uncle was saying this. Yes, that's one way of saying it. Nawab uncle was saying this. He was wearing gray t-shirt. He had this and this glass. And he was looking like this. Then the person who would be hearing whatever I'm saying, he would be more confident in listening me. Do you get my point? فَلَاثَ خِمَارِهَا عَلَى رَأْسِهَا وَإِشْتَمَلَتْ بِجِلْبَابِهَا وأقبلت في لمة من حفدتها ونساء قومها. Then Sayyida Zahra, she didn't go alone to the courtyard of the first person. She had the people of her family, the women of her family going with her. And when she فأقبلت إلى أبي بكر وهو في حشد من المهاجرين والأنصار. When Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha, she went to meet that first person, he was not sitting alone. He had the army of the Muhajirin and Ansar sitting beside him and other companions that were with him. فأنت أنة فأجهش القوم بالبكاء. She took a sigh. सांस लेते हैं ना इंसान, सांस ली. فأجهش القوم بالبكاء. As soon as people heard the sigh of Zahra salamullah alayha, they started crying after looking at Sayyida Zahra salamullah alayha. Who was the person that have given you these details? We always talk about the aftermath of Karbala, what Sayyida Zaynab has done. But we should also look what she has done before Karbala. This was Sayyida Zahra salamullah alayha. She was so important to Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, so important that the riwayah says that Muhammad bin Hanfiya met Imam Hussein in Makkah. And Imam, he said that, Mawla, I understand that you're taking yourself, you're going with you, and you had some of the people from Banu Hashim. I understand. You're going with men, and obviously you might be in danger. You would have to defend yourself. So obviously you need men. Obviously you need weapons to defend yourself. But why are you taking women with you? Imam didn't give reply in the same majlis. Imam didn't give reply in the same gathering. Imam said, wait, I'm going to give you the reply. Then Imam went to meet him again, or they had a meeting again. Imam says, Atani ya Rasulullahi ba'dama faraktuka. To Abu Muhammad bin Hanfiya, Prophet came to meet me when I was done with the discussion that I was having with you. And Prophet said to me what? Ya Hussein, ukhruj. فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ شَاءَ أَنْ يَرَانِي قَتِيلًا وَيَرَاهُنَّ سَبَايًا. That Allah wants to see me martyred, madbuh. He wants to see me beheaded. But He also wants to see the women of my family being taken as captives. See the role of Sayyida Zaynab. If there is anyone Sharikatul Hussein in its clear meaning, was Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha. When you reflect upon Sharikatul Hussein, subhanallah, who was Hussein and what was he doing at that moment? And if there was anyone who was a common partner to Sayyid Abu Abdullah, it was no one else but Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha. This was Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha. How did she defend the Imam of the time? It didn't happen one time. It didn't happen twice. It happened more than 2 or 3 times. When everyone was martyred and the enemy came in to loot the tents of Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, when they entered into the tents, Shimr wanted to kill Imam Sajjad. Who was the one that defended Imam Sajjad there? She came in. I'm going to come into the Musibah part inshallah in 2-3 minutes, but I want to go through the riwayah. How Sayyida Zaynab was able to defend Imam Sajjad. She said, La wallahi, la yuqtalu hatta uqtal. No one dare touch Imam Sajjad unless until I am being martyred. Unless until I'm alive. No one dares touch Imam Sajjad. Ya Shimr, hasbuka min dima'ina. Enough, whatever you have done, whatever people, whatever men of our family you have martyred. فَإِن قَتَلْتَهُ فَاقْتُلْنِي مَعَهُ. If you want to behead him, behead me with him. Even at that time, they felt a little embarrassed to do anything and to kill a woman, so they didn't do anything. This is the same episode that was repeated when Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam went into the courtyard of Kufa. How did Imam Sajjad had conversation with Ibn Ziyad? See Ibn Ziyad asking, who are you? Imam says, Ana Ali ibn al-Husayn. I am Ali, the son of Hussein. See the audacity of this tyrant Mal'oon ibn Ziyad. He said, Alaysa Allahu qatala Aliyan? Hasn't Allah killed Ali, the son of Hussein? Imam Sajjad replied, Kana li akhan yusamma Aliyan, qatalahu nas. I had a brother, his name was Ali too. He was killed not by Allah, he was killed by the people. Ibn Ziyad emphasized on his point, no, he was killed by Allah. And Imam Sajjad always resisted whatever he was saying till a time came in that Ibn Ziyad said that someone should behead Imam Sajjad. As soon as Sayyida Zaynab salamullah alayha, she heard this, she said, Yabna Ziyad, innaka lam tabqa minna ahadan, fa in aratta qatlahu faqtulni ma'ahu. That, oh Ibn Ziyad, you have left no man with us anymore. If you want to wish to kill him, then kill me with him too. How was Sayyida Zaynab? She has always, I'm coming to the musibah part. Always remember Damascus. Always remember Damashq in your mind when you're thinking about Sayyida Zaynab. Always remember the pain she has gone through. Always remember the calamities that she has gone through. The calamities didn't just start at the time of Karbala. It started at the time of the Prophet. When Prophet was leaving this world, you would expect that the people would come and they would give their condolences, they will give their commemoration to the family. But when they came in, they didn't come with these softwares. They came up with the worst. They came up with the fire, and they lit the house of Zahra. They lit the house, the door of Zahra salamullah alayha. And during those moments, Sayyida Zahra salamullah alayha had a special wasiyah for Sayyida Zaynab. And the books of Maqatil say that she asked Sayyida Zaynab that, oh Zaynab, come close to me. I have a will. I want you to implement this will. When the time of Karbala would come in, when Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam would come for his last farewell, I want you to act on this will. What was that will, O Zahra salamullah alayha? The will was that, oh Zaynab, when you see him riding his horse for the last time, ask him to stop for a moment, go towards him. When you go towards him, kiss his head, kiss his neck, and kiss his chest area. I asked Zahra that, oh Zahra, why have you given this wasiyah? Why have you given this will? The answer came from Zaynab salamullah alayha. When the last time Hussein was going to give his farewell, he was going to fight against the enemy. And when he was going to sit on his horse, he saw someone coming from behind. He saw his sister coming in. For a moment he stopped, and then he saw Zaynab coming in. She said, Mahlan, mahlan ya akhi, that, oh my brother, please stand there for 1 second. I have a will of my mother to fulfill. My mother instructed these and these things. Hussein asked what was the purpose behind it, and the purpose and the reply that was given was that this is the same neck that Shimmer would strike on it 12 times, and this is the same chest that the horses would go from east to west, from north to south, and they would trample on your body. This was not the only time Zaynab saw whatever she saw. When Amir al-Mu'min was struck on his head, Amir al-Mu'min came in the house. During these nights, Amir al-Mu'min was looking on to his sons and daughter. For one moment, he started crying profusely when he saw the faces of Zaynab and Kulthum. When he saw them crying, he couldn't resist his tears because of the pain they were going. Yes, this was not the only time that Zaynab has to go through whatever she went through. When Imam Hassan was was being poisoned and his liver was coming out, and they were gathering the liver in a container. The book of Maqatil said that was Zaynab Kulthum, and when they wanted to enter Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Imam instructed to hide that container so that Zaynab Kulthum, they won't see what is happening with the body of their brother. Yes, this was not the only time Zainab has to go through. Azadaro, ایک وقت وہ بھی آیا کہ جب ایک دفعہ رخصت ہونے جا رہے تھے حسین. عزادارو 28 رجب آنے والی ہے. جب حسین رخصت ہونے گئے تو ایک عجیب لمحہ تھا. کوئی بی بی حسین کے منہ کا بوسہ لیتی, بازوؤں کا بوسہ لیتی, کبھی ابا کے دامن کو پکڑتی. ہاں اسی وقت ایک بی بی اور بھی تھی جس نے اتنا گریہ کیا, جس نے اتنی آہو بکا کی کہ وہ بے ہوش ہو گئے. عزاداروں انہی لمحات میں حسین کی محبت کو تو دیکھیے, زینب کے پاس آتے ہیں اور زینب کو بے ہوشی کے عالم سے اٹھاتے ہیں. اے بہن زینب, آپ کو بہت کام کرنے ہیں. عزاداروں 28 رجب آنے والی ہے. بھائی ایک لمحہ وہ تھا جب مدینے سے یہ قافلہ کوچ کر رہا تھا تو جو بی بی آتی بڑے احترام سے اس کو سوار کروایا جاتا. ام لیلہ آتی تو علی اکبر دوڑے جاتے, ام فروہ آتی تو قاسم دوڑے جاتے. عزادارو دربندی اپنے مقتل میں لکھتے ہیں, میں نے, راوی کہتا ہے, میں نے حسین کو بیٹھا ہوا پایا. میں کیا دیکھتا ہوں, حسین اپنی جگہ سے اٹھتے ہیں, عباس اپنی جگہ سے اٹھتے ہیں اور سب ایک بی بی کو سوار کروانے کے لیے تگو دو کرنے لگتے ہیں. میں کہتا ہوں اے زینب, آپ کو یہ لمحہ کتنی دفعہ یاد آیا ہوگا, وہ شام غریبہ کا لمحہ کہ روایت کے جملے یہ ہیں. راوی کہتا ہے زینب کبھی خیمے کے اندر جاتی, کبھی خیمے کے باہر, کبھی اوپر دیکھتی, کبھی نیچے دیکھتی. عجیب کشمکش میں تھی زینب. ایک دفعہ جلے ہوئے خیمے میں جاتی ہیں, کسی پیچھے ایک بیمار شخص کو لے کر آتی ہیں. بھائی بڑا یاد کیا ہوگا مدینے کو, اور اس وقت بھی بہت یاد کیا ہوگا جب اوپر سے صدقے کی روٹی اور کھجوریں پھینکی جاتی اور یہ کہا جاتا تھا ہم رسول اللہ کی اولاد ہیں, ہم رسول اللہ کی نواسیاں ہیں. بھائی صدقہ ہم پر حرام ہے. عزادارو انہی ایام میں زینب چھوڑ کے جاتی ہیں. شاید جب جنازہ اٹھا ہو تو کہا ہو اے لوگو میرا جنازہ دھوم دھام سے مت اٹھانا, میں اس کی بہن ہوں جس کے لاشے کو پامال کیا. وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. ماتم زینب, ماتم حسین.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے, زہرا کی دعا ہے یہ ماتم, یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے, زہرا کی دعا ہے یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، کونین کی ہر دولت دے کر، ہر دولت دے کر اس غم کی حفاظت کرنا ہے، اس غم کی حفاظت کرنا، شبیر کے خاطر جینا ہے، شبیر کے خاطر مرنا ہے، شبیر کی خاطر مرنا ہے، یہ جسم رہے یا مٹ جائے، مظلوم کا ماتم کرنا ہے، مظلوم ماتم کرنا ہے، زہرا کی تمنا پوری ہو، یہ جان رہے یا مٹ جائے، زہرا کی دعا ہے، یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، زہرا کی دعا ہے، یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، اس پرچم کی عظمت کے لیے، اس پرچم کی عظمت کے لیے عباس نے بازو دے ڈالے، عباس نے بازو دے ڈالے، اس پرچم کی عزت کے لیے غازی نے سہے دل پر بھالے، غازی سہے دل پر بھالے، اس پرچم کے مشکیزہ سے لپٹے ہیں سکینہ کے نالے، لپٹے ہیں سکینہ کے نالے، عباس علی کا پرچم ہے، یہ پرچم کیسے جھک جائے، زہرا کی دعا ہے، یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، زہرا کی دعا، یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، سالار حسینی کیا کہنا، سالار کیا کہنا، معراج وفا سرتاج وفا، معراج وفا تاج وفا، ہر موج تڑپتی ہے اب تک ساحل سے جو تو پلٹا پیاسا، ساحل تو پلٹا پیاسا، با حکم حسینی جنگ نہ کی، ہر بار سہا ہر ظلم سہا، ہر بار سہا ظلم سہا، ہوش میں جب تک فکر یہ تھی، پیاسی نہ سکینہ رہ جائے، زہرا کی دعا، یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، زہرا کی دعا ہے، یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، جب تک یہ سکت اس جسم میں ہے، جب تک سکت اس جسم میں ہے، حق اپنا ادا کر دینا ہے، حق اپنا ادا دینا ہے، اس ماں جو سعادت سے ہم کو یہ جان فدا کر دینا ہے، یہ جان فدا کر دینا ہے، یا اشک سے یا خون دل سے اس دامن کو بھر دینا ہے، اس دامن کو بھر دینا ہے، آئی ہے یہاں ایک شہزادی، امید کا دامن پھیلائے، زہرا کی دعا ہے، یہ ماتم یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، زہرا کی دعا ہے یہ ماتم، یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، یہ ماتم ہے حل من کی صدا، یہ ماتم من کی صدا، ہر اشک ہے جذبہ نصرت کا، ہر اشک جذبہ نصرت، یوں حق کی طرف آ جانے کا حاصل ہے ابھی تک ایک موقع، حاصل ابھی تک ایک موقع، پہچان ضمیر و دل کی صدا، اس ماتم میں شامل ہو جا، اس ماتم میں شامل ہو جا، شبیر بلاتے اب تک، گر ہو رہو کہیں تو آ جائے، زہرا کی دعا یہ ماتم، یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، زہرا کی دعا یہ ماتم، یہ ماتم کیسے رک جائے، یا حسین
السلام علیک یا نبی اللہ، السلام علیک یا باعث الہدا، السلام علیک یا شفیع المذنبین، السلام علیک یا رحمتا للعالمین، السلام علیک یا خدیجۃ الکبریٰ ام المؤمنین، السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیک یا ابا عبد اللہ، السلام علیک یا ابن رسول اللہ، السلام علیک یا ابن امیر المومنین وابن سید الوسیین، السلام علیک یا ابن فاطمة الزہراء سیدۃ النساء العالمین، السلام علیک یا ابو الفضل العباس یا جمیع شہداء کربلا ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیک یا غریب الغرباء، السلام علیک یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء، السلام علیک یا مغیث الشیعۃ والزوار فی یوم الجزاء، السلام علیک یا شمس الشموس یا انیس النفوس یا ایہا المدفون بارض توس، السلام علیک یا سلطان العرب والعجم یا علی بن موسیٰ الرضا ایہا الراضی بالقدر والقضاء ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، السلام علیک یا مولانا یا صاحب العصر والامر والزمان، الامان 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 من فتنة الزمان، السلام علیک یا شریک القرآن، السلام علیک یا خلیفۃ الرحمن، السلام علیک یا مظہر الایمان، السلام علیک یا قامی الکفر والطغیان، یا دافع الظلم والعدوان، عجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وسهل اللہ تعالی مخرجک وظہورک وانصارک ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ، بار محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔